Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are listening to Speaking in Tongues by Talking Heads? Talking Heads, in hell. Oh wait, I can't swear in the first 7 seconds. Alright, restarting the intro. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are listening to Speaking in Tongues by Talking Heads, their 1983 release. I have already covered Remain in Light as well as Fear of Music on this channel, and both of those albums I thought were pretty fantastic. Remain in Light is a near perfect new wave masterpiece. I think like the first half of that album is literally the best shit ever, and then the second half of the album I still think it's pretty great. I don't think it's like 10 out of 10 quality, but the second half of the album's still pretty great. And then Fear of Music is just an incredible, funky, dark, kind of a little more edgy spin on the Talking Head sound that obviously came before Remain in Light. The album was pretty great as well. And now we are on to Speaking in Tongues, their 1983 release, the one that came out right after Remain in Light, their follow-up that came 3 years later. I've heard a couple tracks on this album. I've heard Burning Down the House. I think I've been sent in one of the other songs on this album. I don't remember which one, but yes, I have heard 1 or 2 tracks off of this thing. I know a little bit of what I'm getting into here, but honestly, I'm going in mostly blind, and I'm going in with ridiculously high expectations, considering how much I have loved the other 2 Talking Heads albums that I've heard up to this point. Yeah, this thing came out, obviously, 1983. It is 9 tracks, 47 minutes. Alright, let's get started. Track 1, a song I and everyone on the planet has already heard, Burning Down the House. Take the album off shuffle, that'll be a good idea. You know, I've never listened to this song with, like, the context of this being an opener. Yeah, I love how, like, over the top this song is. Like, it's as maxed out, it's as, like, theatric and dramatic as an opener to a Talking Heads album could be. This album works very well while walking around in Seoul. It's a very particular scenario to find yourself in. This is just Bowie for autistic kids. Exactly. I love how comparatively raw this is compared to Remain in Light immediately. Like, everything here feels like it's just way more live. I know, like, Remain in Light is a very, like, clean album. It's one of, like, the best produced albums of the 80s, in my opinion, which is, you know, saying a lot considering the fact that it came out in 1980. This is immediately more rough and tumble. It's immediately not as polished. It's nowhere near as clean as that album. And I like that. I like that we're getting a big switch in sound here. Some nice creepy synths. Percussion is amazing here. I love how round the percussion sounds here. There's something that's very, I don't know, the tone is very pronounced on these toms. They sound great. Burning Down the House is fucking fantastic. I don't need to tell you that. Everybody already knows that this song fucking slaps. Yeah, I think this was Brian Eno again. Or was this when Brian Eno left? No. It says... Is this self-produced? Oh, no, this is self-produced. Yeah, so this... Oh, was Remain in Light the last album Eno worked with them on? I thought this was. Oh, I see. No, this one was self-produced. I guess that'll explain the massive shift in sound. It doesn't have Brian Eno's, you know, very distinct kind of polished sheen that you get with Remain in Light. This is immediately, you know, Talking Heads kind of sending themselves off in a completely different direction. It still has some of the electronic elements of Remain in Light, but it's a lot more primal. This percussion is so heavy. There's more of a focus on the acoustics here. The vocals are incredibly raw. They sound very live. These back-in vocals as well kind of give this all, again, just a very primal, real feeling, where Remain in Light at points is very robotic, and I think that's a positive for Remain in Light. It's nice to see them, again, just completely veering off with their sound here. That's, like, with the 3 Talking Heads albums I've listened to, obviously, like Fear of Music, Remain in Light, and this album, they're all back to back to back. They're all so different from each other. Like, immediately, this is way, 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 way different from Remain in Light. And I'm really glad, because I actually didn't realize that this song was the opener before going into this. And the fact that this is the opener, this is the tone setter, is letting me know that this is kind of the direction that the album is going to be taking on the whole. And I'm really glad that that's the case, because I was a little worried that this was going to try and just be Remain in Light 2. And I don't think that's what we're going to get. Burning Down the House, again, it's a lot rawer, it's a lot more primal, a lot more fluid, a lot less loopy, a lot less, I guess, static. And it's able to just kind of feel like it's free-flowing a lot more. And that change in tone is everything I could really ask for out of this, I think. Burning Down the House is a 10 for me. I think that it's just an incredible single, an incredible Talking Heads track. The context of it being an album opener, I'd say it's like the best tone setter of any Talking Heads track, easily. In terms of the 3 album openers I've heard from them. I couldn't ask for a better opener than this, and I'd say this is the best intro to a Talking Heads album we've gotten so far. Even better than Born Under Punches off of Remain in Light. Jesus Christ, couldn't remember the name of the song. How does it compare to XTC's weird songs? You can see how XTC would like take influence from a track like this. The weird acoustics, the strange percussion, the very out there David Byrne vocal performance. You can tell how this would influence a band like XTC, absolutely. Do I think Talking Heads do it better than XTC? Yes, but not by much. I think I prefer David Byrne's kind of nerdy awkwardness a little bit. And I think the band have a better sense of how to implement funk elements. But it's not like the biggest of like preference. I think that Talking Heads are just a little more up my alley than XTC. It's not the biggest difference in my opinion. We will see. I'm looking through this. I don't actually know if I've heard anything else off of this album. I thought I'd heard another track, but it doesn't actually look like I have. So we're just going to continue. Next track we have Making Flippy Floppy, which is quite the title.
Everybody, get in line. Nothing can come between us.
Oh shit.
Nothing turns you on.
Okay, immediately very goofy vocals.
Set someone free. Break someone's heart. Stand up. Snap into position. Bounce till you pay. And you end up in jail.
Oh my god.
I had a hole in my head.
Vocal layering on this track and the last track have been fucking amazing.
They're just my friend.
I want to listen to like the albums before I get to start making sense. It really is, yeah. Fear of Music, it had its like loose, funky moments, like a track like Life During Wartime, for example, or even a song like Cities as well. Fear of Music is a much darker album, right? It has its loose, funky moments, like Life During Wartime or Cities, but on the whole, that album is much darker. And then Remain in Light is a much brighter album, but it's a lot more static, it's a lot more robotic. A lot of the tracks are built around loops and stuff like that. Particularly, you look at a song like Cross-Eyed and Painless, or why am I forgetting the names of the songs on Remain in Light today? The Great Curve, that's it, thank you. Like Cross-Eyed and Painless or The Great Curve, lots of tracks built around loops and repeating instrumentals, a lot more static, a lot more robotic, a lot more just repetitive, drilling these ideas into your head over and over and over again. This just feels so free. It has the brighter, more uplifting sound of Remain in Light. It has the loose funkiness of a track like Life During Wartime off of Remain in Light. And you're kind of getting the combination of the two that feels like the band being in complete, just free form here, which I guess also could be attributed to them also like producing the album themselves. Like they are in just complete 100% control here with no... It doesn't seem like there's really any outer influence. It just seems like the band doing all this shit themselves. And that freedom is creating for a very interesting tone for this album up to this point. And I think my PC restarted the song for me. Thanks. Great. Where was I? I will say, maybe there is a little bit of like the, I don't know, Remain in Light kind of had an inherent warmness. I think I would mix the word warmth and warmness due to like how clean the production was, and I feel like maybe that's a bit missing here. There's something about this that feels a little skeletal. I'd say that's my only like issue with this. Lots of really fun sound play though. I have no fucking idea what that is. Sounds like a boat instrument. I can't tell if it's like a violin with some effects on it or what. It sounds incredible though. Oh, it's a synth? I see. Okay. Making Flippy Floppy is a great track, but I do have some minor gripes with it. I think this might be an overall problem with the album. I think that the production... I'm a little 50-50 on it now. I think that it really works on Burning Down the House, but with that track, I don't know, I feel like a little bit of the warmth of Remain in Light is missing. There's something about the rawness here that makes this feel a little skeletal, a little cold, and I feel like I'm not as big of a fan of the overall production style of this as I was with the other two. And that track does drag a little bit. I think that 6 minutes is a bit much. I feel like that song would work a lot better as like a 4.5, maybe 5 minute track that kind of goes through the same progression, but with a little bit more urgency. I feel like 6 minutes, it got to a couple points where I was kind of like, okay, this still sounds nice, but it feels like the track's just meandering a little bit, kind of dancing around the same idea for a little too long. But besides that, I do think this instrumental is fucking incredible. I think that the instrumental break towards the midpoint of the track sounds fucking incredible. I think that David Byrne's super fucking weird vocal performance here also elevates this track to like another heightened level of goofiness that I feel like works incredibly well with Talking Heads' kind of more funky sound. And also some of the sound play here with the synths, whatever the hell that sound towards the end was, the pitch bending stuff like Ryan K said here. I think that this track on the whole does sound pretty great. It's just some minor gripes I have with this one that make me not like it quite as much as the first track. It's like a solid to high 8 for me. Up next we have Girlfriend is Better. So David would bring out the big suit. Big suit goes hard. Robot sounding keyboard, yeah. The little stabs of brass in here are really nice. Bass sounds fucking incredible too. The way he just kind of floods the mix at the start of every bar is so cool. They really are just going wild with, like, experimenting with their sound as much as they can here. Like, they're just trying everything, you know? Such a fucking catchy chorus, too. Like, it's able to be weird. It's able to kind of be out there and a little, like, abstract at points, but it's still catchy. There's still such, like, an accessibility to this. Oh, you said the thing! Oh, that's just like the fucking motif of the song, huh? Wow. Yeah, the rest of the band they brought in. I've seen it in a couple performances of like during wartime and Burning Down the House and shit. The rest of the band kind of go crazy. All these super bubbly synths. Brings a little bit more of like a heaviness to this track. Yeah. I was talking about it being like more fluid and organic. This is going even harder on the electronic, which I was not expecting from this album. Kind of dragging. I like how loopy this outro is. Yeah, I think that when Talking Heads does like a drawn out instrumental, they're usually able to make it pretty interesting. And I think that's a perfect example where the bubbly synths sound incredible. The actual tone of these synths as well, the kind of harsher, more rough sound that synth bass has kind of gives it more of a, I don't know, a little bit of a darker kind of edge, a little bit more heaviness than the previous two songs as well. I think that entire outro, the way it kind of just loops again and again, kind of bashes the same idea into your head in the same way a track off of Remain in Light would. And also, I think this track is just easily the catchiest so far. That hook is flames. Actual fucking fireworks. Oh my god, the band are just in top form on this track. Firstly, great funky instrumental. Synths sound incredible. Bassline fucking slaps. The little stabs of brass you get throughout this track are so cool. And yeah, David Byrne is providing easily the best vocal performance up to this point, and like I don't think it's even close. I think that his vocals, that fucking melody on the chorus, there's just something that feels so perfect about it. It feels like the most catchy fucking melody possible for this track, and he hits it perfectly with that inflection. Like David Byrne, I've kind of realized that he is like such a fucking genius when it comes to vocal inflection and melody. He is able to lean into different aspects of his voice in different tracks, like scarily perfectly. Like it's kind of crazy how much he is able to just slip into characters in and out within the context of even a single track and completely morph his voice into like different shapes, different tones, different textures, and like completely change a track just in that. And he does that throughout this song, and it's so impressive. It's impressive as fuck. I'm feeling a high 9 on this. Yeah, I gotta be honest, this song has grown to be a 10 for me. I think this is just the most perfect version of Talking Heads presented on a song. You know, I like that hook is so damn infectious. It's like crack, man. It's been just stuck in my head. I've not been able to get enough of it since I listened to it yesterday. The re-listen that I gave it while playing Fortnite last night, and even me listening to the song again just before filming this little section here. I think this song is absolutely perfect and maybe the best on the album. Yeah, Girlfriend is better. Absolute fucking heater. Slippery People. I'm liking the subtlety of this track. It's nice to get a little bit of a cooldown after how like massive the previous song was with those crazy layers of synths. Getting something here that's a little more subtle. You know, it's more quietly funky. It still has its moments where it builds up, but nowhere near as crazy as the previous song. It's really just all in these backing vocals. Whole album's a party. It really has been up to this point. Ooh. They're playing with lots of really fun synth sounds as well. And that piano adds like a nice kind of somber quality to this track. Mellows everything out a little bit. Like even that bass line, you get such a prominent bass tone, but the bass line is just scaling it back so much. What's the matter with him? And that call and response is so fucking good. That reminds me of a track like The Great Curve. You kind of had that section towards the back half where you had all these different vocal takes of David Byrne and then the backing vocalists kind of weaving in and out of sync with each other. That call and response kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Oh, absolutely. I know Fela Kuti was a huge influence on David Byrne, and through all of like the more like African elements, particularly with like the percussion, you can hear how Fela Kuti would like be a huge influence on Talking Heads. I would say not as much on this album as Remain in Light. I think it's a lot more present on Remain in Light, particularly the first half, but it's still, you can definitely feel a little bit of it here. Yeah, I think that the drier production, I don't know. I wasn't crazy on it on the second song, but I think it's worked pretty well for Burn Down the House, Girlfriend is Better, and Slippery People as well. I like the drier sound, especially, you know, if the band want to have a big switch in their sound like this, I think that drier production and kind of scaling everything back is a nice way of doing that. You're in class, it's not good, get back to your lesson. What you've noticed is that those post-punk quirks of the earlier projects, especially when compared to Fear of Music, are a lot more stripped back, allowing for more groove. Absolutely. Yeah, everything here feels like it's so focused on just being funky as fuck. All of these tracks, Burning Down the House as well. Burning Down the House was a little more bombastic, I guess, but still, everything has just felt like it's focused on being like just the most easy to move to of their albums up to this point. You know, you get a little bit of that on Fear of Music. You know, certain tracks are kind of funky in that way, like the opener, like Life During Wartime, like Cities. You know, you get the first half of Remain in Light, which is the funkiest the band have ever gotten, in my opinion. This feels like it's that nice middle point where every single song is like funky as all hell, but it feels like it's not going as far into it as, you know, a song like Cross-Eyed and Painless or Born Under Punches or, you know, The Great Curve does. It's like a nice middle point where it's drier, it's a little more skeletal, but it still is focused on just making you move. It finds a lot of power in its subtleties, like the little different synth sounds it throws in here, the fun backing vocals, like the little tiny rises that you get throughout the track that just reward paying attention. I think that this is an album that, were I to just like be passively listening to this on a first listen, like were this to just be on in the background, I wouldn't get too much out of it. But when I'm actually like sat here paying attention, trying to pick apart the details, I notice that there is so much of like meticulous craftsmanship going on to just how interesting, just how fun it is picking apart the way that these different sections kind of flow into each other. And the tiny, tiny little things that they throw in there to signal changes, to signal tonal switches, to signal like a switch into a different section of the song. They are really focused on the subtleties here. On the surface level, these are like fun, funky tracks, but it's really just the little tiny things that they throw in there that are really fleshing these tracks out for me. This one's another like solid 9, like a 9.4, 9.5. Good shit. This album is really, really like exceeding my expectations this far. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as Remain in Light and Fear of Music, but I've got to say, I think I'm enjoying this a little bit more than Fear of Music up to this point. I'd say Remain in Light takes the cake. I think the first half of Remain in Light, the first 5 songs even, are all like 10 out of 10. Some of the best shit I've ever heard from the 80s. I feel like that's, a little bit of a step above this, but this is going a little bit above Fear of Music for me. This album has been fucking great so far. I get Wild, Wild Gravity up next. Go for something a little more abstract here. Ooh. I like how even on the songs that are darker, they're still keeping the funkiness. Like even on these slower moments, it's still, like, these tracks are so instantaneous still, you know? This album will get the gaming test, don't worry. This album will get the gaming test. Maybe right after I listen, to be honest. Yeah. I'm probably gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna make videos on all of their albums, but I'm gonna listen to all of them and do some sort of ranking video as well. Yeah, his sense of melody on this album is so good. I think that's maybe the biggest thing that's taken a step up, is David Byrne's sense of melody and just vocal inflection in general is so much more interesting. Not that it wasn't interesting before, but it's like even like heightened here. It feels like they're feeling a lot more free to run more wild with these instrumentals, where they strip back on like the mixing and the production aspects. It feels like they're being allowed to get a little more creative with like the songs themselves. Like you get a track here that's as abstract as this, something that is as desolate and again as skeletal as this. And this track is still able to work in so many fascinating sound choices. It's still able to have a bunch of strange melodic choices from David Byrne as well. Cool shit going on with like the way the bass is kind of playing off of the drums throughout this track. I think that the halftime feel that the entire track has is really, I don't know, there's kind of an inherent eeriness about that kind of clashes a little bit. Not necessarily clashes, it provides a nice juxtaposition with the funkiness and kind of the bounce of this track as well. I will say this song maybe does drag a tiny bit, similar to Making Flippy Floppy. I think that this song maybe does have minor pacing issues towards the back half, but I don't know, I will say, when you get a slowdown like this that's able to work as well as it does, I don't think that the minor pacing issues are that big of a problem for me. I'd give this track another high 8, I think. That has since grown to be a low 9 for me. The pacing issues didn't really affect me as much on a re-listen, and I just think the creepy space and the inherent eeriness of this track is just incredibly endearing. Swamp. It's just a 4/4 Money by Pink Floyd. I'm a little torn on this one. This album has been a little silly up to this point. It's been a lot more alleviated. Is that a word? I don't know. This album has been a lot goofier all the way throughout. Well, not all the way throughout this, but on a lot of these songs, it's kind of leaned into the more ridiculous aspects of the band. But I feel like this is maybe taking it a step too far. I feel like we're losing, I don't know, any sense of groundedness, any sense of seriousness, and we're kind of just we've towed over the line a little bit. The album's done a good job of towing the line, but not going too far. This, I feel like, is a moment that just steps over that line and reaches the point of being, I don't want to say a little annoying, but just kind of awkward. I've loved the album up to this point. This is the first song I'm not really feeling. Yeah, that's my big problem, is David Byrne is just getting a little too goofy here. It feels like he's really, like, using this one inflection as a crutch here, and, like, the track has somehow made the transition from a bit grating and a bit annoying to now boring. We've gone from, yeah, awkward and slightly annoying to boring. This track hasn't really gone anywhere. Yeah, I agree with this. Instrumentally sound, but among other great tracks, fairly dull. Yeah, the track went from slightly grating, slightly awkward, into slightly boring. Now, I say slightly because I do think the song on the whole is solid. I will say this track has more positives than negatives. I will say this song easily is not bad. It's firmly finding itself in okay territory. The instrumental was really fun. I think that some of the writing on this track was actually kind of intriguing as well. But it's just the pacing, the vocal inflection, the lack of any progression. This track just feels like we are stuck in the mud a lot of the time. It's a low 6. Not in the negative. I don't think it's a bad track by any means. I will say it still definitely isn't bringing the score of the album down a drastic amount, but I don't know, I certainly found this track to be the weakest by a fucking landslide up to this point. That's actually grown to be a high 7. I actually found this track to be kind of fun on a re-listen. I do still have some problems with the pacing here. I do think it can get a bit goofy, but not quite to the extent that I thought on the first listen. Moonrocks up next. Ooh. This sounds like it would influence Daft Punk. This reminded me of a song like Get Lucky or something like that. This feels very Daft Punk.
Flying saucers, levitation. Yo, I could do that. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. I saw your hair start to curl. So get your hands out of your pockets. Get your face adjusted. I heard it, somebody lied. Round heads, square heads. Get settled in.
I've been loving what the bass has been doing on this album. It's been very sparse, but when it comes in, it's like a fucking truck. Yeah, the way that opened up there, just from Dave Byrne changing his vocals, it's the more breathy thing. Weird drums, weird synth as well, yeah. Ooh. This album, through all of its strangeness, is able to find moments of true beauty. Like that, just little subtle changes in the rhythm. It's the tiny little things like that that are all this album needs. Like, the instrumentals are so strong that all they need is the tiniest little thing to change, and that's all of the sense of progression you need for an entirely new section. Moonrocks is fucking incredible. You gotta take Moonrocks to appreciate that. Exactly. They've had that going all the way back to the debut, just slowly more and more fine-tuned. Yeah, this feels like the band at their most fully realized that I've heard up to this point. Yeah, Moonrocks is fucking amazing. This track is like a perfect encapsulation of what has made this album work so well for me. This song is it has such a strong core idea. The instrumental that they create is so fucking funky. It's so infectious. It's so lively. the entire band feel like they're just communicating with each other through their instruments so well that when they're like in terms of like the actual song, only the tiniest little switches are needed, like a little minor change in the rhythm section, a tiny little switch up in the synth sounds, a fun little change in the bass line here and there. That's all you need. And it makes it feel like the song is going through a complete fucking metamorphosis, when in actuality, it's one element that has a tiny switch. Another aspect that I feel like the song is capturing really well about this album is moments of beauty among utter randomness and weirdness. You get that, like, this track is super out there. It's super strange. There's tons of moments on this song that feel like the band just trying to be as fucking goofy as possible. And then it goes into that spacey switch up where that synth just kind of creeps in and completely takes over the mix, kind of has a bit of an off-kilter, kind of eerie, very kind of alien flair, which on an album that has been so primal, on an album that has felt so human, having something that feels so futuristic, having something that feels so alien is just such a strange thing to throw in there. But it's all of the added beauty that this song needs to elevate it to an even higher height for me. I think that this track is like one of the most defining moments on the album, in my opinion, and I'd give that song a solid to high 9. This album's blowing my mind, honestly. Outside of Swamp, this thing has been electric front to back. There has just been so much of a sense of freedom here. And obviously, it's not felt like the band was super restrained on Remain in Light or Fear of Music, but it feels like now that it's them behind the production, like they're given just even that little bit more creative freedom and they're able to just fucking flourish. This is so cool. This album is so fucking cool. Says the album is art rock. There's definitely some art rock elements here. Like, again, some of the more artsy stuff comes from these little moments of beauty that they throw throughout here. So yeah, I'd definitely say there's hints of art rock throughout this. Pull Up the Roots. Oh my... God damn. Oh my god. Yeah, they don't use the fucking guitar a lot. But when they use it, like here, oh, bro. Flames. Actual flame. Holy shit. This is like the best instrumental we've gotten on the album so far. This is just nasty. This is fucking nasty. This is so good. I love what David Byrne is doing here as well. No, not funky rhythm. Like the actual like guitar. The way they use like different guitar sounds a lot. And this particular one, this one that's like very common in lots of funk music, they use this very sparingly across this album. It's way more present on Remain in Light. They've used it quite sparingly on this album, but when it comes out, when it's used as prominently as this, it's fucking slaps. Wait until I hear Found a Job. That sounds scary. We don't do that around here. It's just over. This song's so good. Like, why not throw in this funky synth on top of this incredible guitar interplay? Like, this, holy shit. Each different core part of the band is getting a different moment to shine. We had the super funky guitars at the beginning. We've had this crazy bass line. David Byrne has gotten his most fucking weirdo, out there vocal performance so far. We've gotten this incredible fucking percussion section. The synths get this crazy spot to shine in that instrumental moment. Every single member of the band is getting their own little moment to do something cool here. And it's so fun. Again, chemistry off the charts. They're playing off of each other beautifully here. What's that instrument? I think it's just cowbells. It sounds like either spoons and cups or cowbells. It could be spoons and cups. It does have a particular like pinginess that you get out of that. I can kind of see that. This must be the place. I've heard that song name before. I don't know if I've heard the song though. Probably influenced by this era. Oh yeah, that Kendrick Lamar album. so many like 70s and 80s funk influences all the way throughout that. I wouldn't be surprised if Kendrick was listening to a lot of Talking Heads. Man, that's ooh, that's like second best contender for best. It's in contention with Burning Down the House. That's a 10 for me. Yeah, that track, it captured literally everything that I love about Talking Heads. It has David Byrne going as fucking weird as possible. He really just let loose and had the strangest melodies. Like, nothing really added up with his vocals, but it's just got such a weird fucking alien... It's the most David Byrne vocal performance ever, basically. It just is him just doing his thing, but going as hard on that as possible. And every single band member getting their moment to shine. You get the crazy fucking percussion that sounds like either cowbells or spoons on cups. Oh, do we get taken down? Son of a bitch. Anyway, as I was saying, I guess I'll just give my thoughts on this track while I'm setting up this new stream. Yeah, this track... every band member kind of gets their little moment in the spotlight. Crazy percussion that sounds like either cowbells or spoons on cups, something like that. There's just kind of a fun, tinny sound to add to the track. That synth line that comes in towards the midpoint of the track was fucking crazy. The funky guitars here. The guitars on this track sounded the best that they've sounded on the entire fucking album, in my opinion. And also, that bass line. Tina Weymouth... Is Tina Weymouth plays bass, right? Or is she guitar? I forget if Tina Weymouth is bass or guitar. I think it's Tina Weymouth on bass. She is just literally providing possibly the best bass line on any Talking Heads song. Seriously, it's so fucking infectious. There's just something so disgusting. Something so just like, I don't know, it makes my fucking skin tingle. It gives me full goosebumps. It sounded so good. Final track, This Must Be the Place. Very popular wedding song. I've not actually been to too many weddings, funnily enough. I've only been to like 3 or 4.
Home is where I want to be. Pick me up and turn me round. Make it up as we go along. Feet on the ground, head in the sky. I have plenty of time. And you're standing here beside me. I love the passing of time. She lifted up her wings. I guess that this must be the place.
The way this song is moving is a little weird. I can't put my finger on it, but I don't know. The structure of this track is really interesting. I'm not saying that in a bad way, by the way. It just, there was a point there where I felt a little lost. Yeah. It's a nice, almost full circle moment for the album to reach. Well, not full circle. It feels like the album's been through like an entire arc, if that makes sense. Like the A to B from Burning Down the House to This Must Be the Place, and the entire journey in between has felt so linear, has felt so much like a nice, satisfying progression that we've gone through to get to this point. This Must Be the Place is an absolutely fucking gorgeous way to end this album, and getting to this point has just been such a satisfying journey, and this is the most like nice, subtle, simplistic way of ending this off. The structure of this track is weird as fuck. It got to a point where I kind of got a little lost and was confused as to where in the song we were. It was after that first chorus, and then it went into this instrumental section, and it just suddenly shifted into the verse, and it felt like such an awkward, random time to do that. I was just a little like, huh? What? Okay, I guess we're into the second verse now. Structure and pacing of this song is weird as hell. I struggle to follow along with a lot of where we were in this track. But besides that, I will say this is just a very beautiful, very pretty, optimistic note to end this album off on. It's had its darker moments, it's had its weirder, more out there moments, and it's nice to end on something that is as simplistic and something that is as sweet cute, easy on the ears as this, I will give this final song a high 8 to a flat 9. That grew on a re-listen to be about a solid 9. Still a 9 for me, but just, I don't know, it was a little bit stronger than I gave it credit for. I think the structure of this track is more interesting than I initially thought, a little less awkward, and I just find this track to just be an absolutely fucking gorgeous way to end things. Pretty incredible way of ending this album. And that was Speaking in Tongues, ladies and gentlemen. This album, like, exceeded my expectations. The one complaint I have about this thing, well, the one big complaint I have about this thing is Swamp, you know, not being great. I think Swamp is such a weird song to throw in here, and I honestly think this album could have done without it entirely. This could have worked better as, like, an 8-track, 40-minute album instead of a 9-track, 47-minute album, you know? I feel like Swamp could have been completely removed from the album, and it would have improved this thing a decent bit. I don't think the album would have been like a 10 out of 10 for me without Swamp. I still think this album would have cruised in like the solid to high 9 range. But Swamp definitely is such an unnecessary moment that kind of fucks with the pacing a little bit and is easily the weakest song of the bunch, even if I do think it's still okay. And also there's a couple moments where the more skeletal production can feel a little underwhelming, particularly on Making Flippy Floppy, where I feel like that song just feels a little bit empty and a little bit cold at points, even though I do still think that is a great track overall. But besides those minor gripes, I think this album's fucking incredible. Seriously. Minor pacing issues aside, minor production issues aside, this album is funky as fuck. This album sees Talking Heads at their most human. It sees Talking Heads at their most weird. It did not make my Flippy Floppy. Well, I guess it kind of did, since I gave it a high score still. I'll say the song succeeded in that. Yeah, this album's weird. It can be emotional. It can be dark. It can be optimistic. It can be bombastic. It can be subtle. It is equal parts ridiculous and equal parts heartfelt, equal parts cynical and dark and out there, and equal parts loving and caring and tender. I think that David Byrne and the rest of the band, honestly, really are in top form in making sure this album is so tonally varied, but still has such a distinct, very clear through line, such a satisfying progression from Burning Down the House to This Must Be the Place, and that arc that this album goes through is such a fun thing to experience that you don't even realize is happening until you get to the end and it kind of clicks into place, like, oh, that's what we've been doing throughout this. I see. Yeah, I think that this is just a collection of some incredible funky new wave tracks, working in elements of art rock here and there, getting a little heavier, getting a little looser, getting a lot weirder than we were on Remain in Light and Fear of Music, and just having fun. It feels like the band are having so much fucking fun on this album. Every single instrumental, every single track writing-wise, every single vocal performance, all of the different individual parts that the band are playing, it just feels so loose. It feels so free. It feels like they are able to inject so much more life into their sound, which, again, it sounds like I don't like the previous two albums. I think that the previous two albums are fucking incredible. But this feels like it's just taking it a step up in the band just having freedom. You know, it feels so free here. And I absolutely love that. I was pretty amazed by this album head to toe. I think that minor gripes aside, one song I'm not crazy on aside, this thing exceeds... This thing exceeds Fear of Music for me. I still think that Remain in Light is the king of the Talking Heads discography up to this point, but this album definitely does go above Fear of Music for me in terms of just being so immediately gripping, so immersive, being so catchy, so memorable as well. So many moments on this album that are just like, that feels like it could be an iconic moment in the Talking Heads discography. So many different points throughout this album that are that for me. I was very impressed by this. I'm going to run the numbers and I am going to tell you what my overall score for this album is. Sounds about right. I am feeling a flat 9 on this album, ladies and gentlemen. That has since grown to be a 9.3. It kind of has the same effect as the other two Talking Heads albums, where the more I return to it, the more I end up falling in love with it. This album is funky as fuck. This album is re-listenable, memorable as hell. I absolutely love this album, dude. I can only imagine that score going up to maybe eventually being like even a high 9. It sits a little bit above Fear of Music for me. Not the biggest margin between the two. I think that Fear of Music does have some even higher highs on that album, like a song like Cities, a song like Life During Wartime, a song like Heaven. I feel like, you know, those songs go above the highest moments on this album, but I also think it has like some moments that aren't quite as interesting to me, that kind of bring it down a little bit for me below this and don't quite reach 9 out of 10 territory for me. But this is another S tier album. This and Remain in Light are both S tier albums for me. This is just some incredible, memorable, punchy, ridiculous, goofy, but also heartfelt, emotional, dark, just gripping new wave and funk music. I found myself absolutely in love with this thing, and I'm glad I finally checked it out. It took me long enough, didn't it? It was fucking January or something when I filmed that Fear music video. January or February. My bad. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think of this album down below and how it compares to other Talking Heads albums for you. You can check out my reactions to Remain in Light and Fear of Music somewhere in a playlist around here. I'll start a playlist with my Talking Heads videos now that we have 3 of them. Yeah, like and sub if you haven't. We are on our way to 4K. Links in the description to my Discord, my album of the year, my Twitter, my second channel. Check those out if you haven't. And yeah, I will see you all whenever I next stream or upload. Bye-bye.